But with it, but again, it's a bit like Hannah, because she's like, what happened in the year? What year? She's like 2078, and I'm like, I am not at liberty to discuss these events. Now, what I mean by that, and what I'm paraphrasing, is when you come back from the future, and it's so bodacious that the human beings are like, shut up, that's too ridiculous. I'm not investing in that. So it's a double-edged kind of thing. It's amazing, and wow, how it all comes back. John Buchan, The Gap in the Curtain. It's a short novella. Buchan was from Glasgow. He was the governor of Canada or something like insane. He wrote 39 Steps, which no one's heard of, but like if you're really old, you'd remember maybe being Hitchcock movie. And he wrote this little thing, and the premise is seeing the future. The premise, and it takes place at a weekend country house, and it's a party. People come, the aristocrats come up from across from London, and there's a zany German professor. This is the shtick I was talking about, like in 2010. I'm still doing it, but he's like, I can, to the hostess, allow me, madame, the ability to train the mind of three of your dinner party to read the future, and one is it's London, so he's a financier, he's a banker. The other two we don't care about. The financier reads the front page of the Financial Times 1 year hence, and it's, if you will, the great merger between Rio Tinto and Billiton. Yeah. And it's like, what the fuck? Really? Wow. And so the context, the pretext of the book is forewarned with the future. How does it change your life? And there's a sting, obviously, because and the Bible writes about this, because the garden of Nuz. I mean, you were showing me pictures. You were probably there. Were you in the garden of Nuz? Those pictures were from the. But you showed me the tableau of the Jesus. But when just before he was strung out by his fellow Judeans,
Romans.
Well, but like there was a moment where he called one of the brothers for some help. And they're like, that's what I'm trying to get to. So he's in the garden of Nazareth, just the garden of something or other, and he's saying to the brothers, to the disciples, to the true believers, because they've seen the future. Yeah, it's like, wow, I'm hanging out with God. It's really, really cool, right? And she's like, I think it's Peter, who was the great disciple. I mean, aren't they all great? But he's like, come here. I was like, yeah. He's like, but he slaps him physically. It's like, whoa. It's like, Jesus, like, what's going into you? Like, that's very God, unlike not non-God-like behavior. He's like, shh. And he's like, the cock will crow, and you will have denied me 3 times in the next hours. And he's like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, you are God. I've seen the future. Like, you're my man. And it's cock-a-doodle-doo, and he'd rejected him 3 times. So even armed with the future, not holding knowledge of the future is one of the hardest things.
I feel your pain.
But it took me to St. Bart's, which was, but it was a trade.
It's been a great move.
It was a trade.
Well, it's just life is a journey, and you have to optimize for your personal utility function at all times, and your personal utility function changes, right? So yours changed. It may change again if you're going to sell the crown jewel.
Because now I'm so Blancity Blues, maybe $35 million. And again, am I just plucking a number? There's 2 million gross revenue. So you play around, there's no tax.
Cap rates are low.
Yeah, so you could get to, it's a real asset, and you're on a run rate of 3%. So I'm not making the number up, but it's a big number, okay? But like go to triple, for Blanc Bleu to triple.
It's a limited supply asset.
Well, again,
there's a lot of money out there.
It was my Bitcoin, because you have the halving, which is the restriction in the building code each year. Again, you'll never be able to build that house ever on that.
They'll never make another St. Bart's.
There you go. Well, I mean they could, but even with my longevity program, I don't think
They've tried.
live to see
They've
it.
tried. Right? Anyway.
Well, all of these billionaire network nodes, and there's like 5, maybe 6 of them. There's like 3 which are like ski resorts,
Yeah.
and then they're all bells, they're all French. They were all conceived of kind of at the same time, and where they conceived because they existed. I think it was the arrival of the super rich. Rockefeller.
09.
Arrived.
Came in 09.
Yeah, but it began in 1950.
Okay.
Now, the price
Like Aspen being one, you mean?
Yeah.
Right.
But the inception was the Rockville 1950s. That was the pine. The Rockefellers are now ubiquitous. They became ubiquitous in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
But they were demonstrating proof of concept. I'm a billionaire. I like this place. And then when you had proliferation of milliards, they're like, oh yeah, that's where you go.
Yeah.
How do we get?
So I want to tell a story.
Please do.
This will kind of wrap it all together because it all comes back to Substack. And in 2000, you mentioned the conferences, 2009, 2010, the fall, I think it was the fall of 09 maybe, we did an event in London where you and Neil Ferguson did a debate. Incredible debate, incredible time. We had Neil Ferguson, Sir Neil Ferguson now, who was an esteemed academic at the time, and even further now, and now has his own Substack. So I'd love to compare his Substack numbers with yours. And you, a plucky, swashbuckling hedge fund manager who just made 50% in 2008 when everyone lost their shirt. And the federal U.S. government was printing money like crazy. And the debate was, where would 10-year treasuries be? And
I thought the debate was the house is short the 10-year.
No. It was just, where will treasuries be? And Neil said, Sir Neil said, we've never printed so much money without inflation. We're going to have inflation, and bonds are going to be through the roof.
Yields are going to be through.
Bond yields through the roof, prices through the floor. And you said, we are Japan, yields are going to zero. And now we can look back 15 years and give you the win, right? But I think Neil has more Substack followers. So who really won?
One question. Does he have a block?
He has a castle in Wales.
I'm gonna ask the question again. Does he have block?
He has a grade 2 listed castle in Wales.
In Wales, like. Yeah, I hear Detroit, as my French friends say, is like a really, really cheap property market. Just like sunshine. So so the background to that, again, that was Steve's incredible conference.
And what was more interesting too is that both speakers or debaters did not know each other. We're both from Glasgow, and it was an incredible discussion.
Yeah, so let's blow that up. My team, again, had been approached by the suits and they're like trying to stop all the show business. And like, this is a really bad idea. There's no upside. You're not getting paid for it. You're up against the best speaker. I love him. I've admired him for the longest time. I kind of wanted to be him. And I had to accept. But my team around me were like, this is fucking crazy. You're gonna lose. But I had to do it. And then we were presenting, and I remember more starkly binary. He was in favor of this motion, and I was against the motion, but he was in favor of the motion of the hyperinflation moment. And I was against that. And the room, we had, again, the smartest CIOs of macro funds, and the room was rightly invested in inflationary assets. In March, April, we had the announcement of domestic US quantitative easing, and we were on the most dysfunctional bull market in gold and every other commodity, the market that tapped out in 2011. it led to the dismissal of every CEO of a mining company. And it shows you how unjust life is. He's CEO and his stock price is saying, take every damn penny and borrow 3 times as much and dig holes in the ground. And it was the wrong advice back then. And again, I'm going to keep referring to him as he just now, because he underestimated me. And of course, why would he not? Why would he not? And of course, he was everything to me, and I was just another, bonehead.
City boy.
City boy. And you're right that we were both from Glasgow. And I'm cunning. And so I had to work out a means to get under his skin. And so I cannot call him Neil. Like, he was born in the same community as me. And for a large part of his life, he was called Niall. And then I think I was living in Paris at this. No, I wasn't living in Paris at this point, but with my St. Mark's connection. So Hugh Grant, Hugh Jackman, Hugh Me. In French, it's called Hugues and Huge. And so I provocatively said, listen, Neil, like, you'll always be Niall to me, but if you insist on this preposterous pantomime, you've got to refer to me as my French name, and I'm huge, I'm huge. And in the Royal, it was like, the Nile is a river that runs through Egypt. I'm like, that is also your name, and that really annoyed him. And then, so his book, and as an advert, like, he is incredible. Niall Ferguson. I mean, it still resonates. Smart guy. The Cash Nexus, Nexus. One of my all-time favorite books. It was like taking historical drama and turning it into a hedge fund report, like with all the statistics and all the prices. I devoured that book. Loved that book. And that was my principal logic source for my speech. And now, God knows why. Well, I know why. He was pandering to his audience. He had devoured a 120-page Morgan Stanley piece and could quote it, as he's very intelligent, you could quote it like that. But like, we never use broker shit. Like, like it's first principles. You read books, not reports. And at the end, I mean, it was a rivet. I believe it was riveting.
It was good.
And it was pretty obvious that it was like a heavyweight, and I'd gone to the 15 rounds, and it was like, who cares? Like, and he was so flustered that he insisted on the click, on the decision, and I think it was like 51-49 or something like that. Like no one really cared, but I got under his skin. But Neil now, I mean,
he says he has more Substack subscribers today. I would bet unlimited Bitcoin. I would bet you unlimited Bitcoin.
His TAM is way bigger than my TAM.
Neil, love you and your TAM.
Yeah,
click here to subscribe to Hugh's channel.
Yeah, please, Niall. I know it's a river through Egypt. It's a great name. It makes you sound more interesting.
Better than Huge.
I don't know. Well, I mean, my French name, if you ever get a WhatsApp from me, it comes from Jean-Hugues Hendricks, as you know. And then so let's end on another story, which might cause me great. I might as well just bring it forward, because you might not like it, because it involves you, kind of roundabout circular, whatever. But yeah, I've got a book. I just haven't published it.
Okay.
I've got like real functioning book, and it's it's a rock star memoir of my time as a hedge fund manager, and it's written with pace, worked really, really fast, and amazing, fun, interesting things happen. And the best chapter, which is cinematic, which is Wolf of Wall Street. It happens in MIA.
Yeah. What's MIA?
MIA is the airport code for Miami, and it's also the affixation. Is it not affixation? Affix for the beer. I'm going to the gym after this. For your conference, You
It's very LA to drink before the gym.
Well, I'm not doing cardio. I'm doing weights.
When in Rome.
I'm wrong. But I think the best chapter is the chapter
About me?
on the MIA conference.
Which one? What happened?
What was the one that's the big secret?
The Mongolians?
Yeah. Do you know I was in Mongolia? Do you know actually? So we're not talking about Mongolians because I'm changing the title.
By the way, Jim Chanos, don't read this book because Jim loves the Mongolians.
Well, okay. Here's this is not the beer story.
Is the book in your bag?
No, it's not. It's on my phone. I went to a camp in Mongolia in August before my camp last year.
Okay.
And it was many things. I mean, it's so far away. I had to go through China, and I was in Beijing for 4 hours, and I was coming from here, and I had my chocolate shroom guy. I had 15 hours, and I open up my case, and it's got a message from the Chinese Communist Party. We have to tell you, go put your bag. I said, fuck! And but at the time, unconsciously stupid, but I used to vape. Don't do it, people, it's really bad. They'd taken a vape, but the chocolate was funny.
They left the mushroom chocolates.
And anyway, so the camp was, I was kind of, I was erratic. I got invited, I went because I thought there was going to be some supermodels, some really hot girls, and there were. And so I was like really a bit, and it was a bit less, clothes, like it was like horses, and it was like kind of.
It wasn't Fire Festival.
It was aristocrat, And I was like, oh, fuck that. And I took this young kid who looks like Johnny Depp, and so and he just kept buying the currency. I was like, stop buying, this paper is worthless. So at the end he had a wad, like, I don't know, like that amount of paper, because you couldn't spend it in the countryside. And so he's like, we got to go to the strip joint, and I do not. Let me take my hand up to let me pledge. I do not do strip joints, but I did it in Mongolia with a very low state of expectation. I was not in a stand. I was not in a what's it called, a Jim Chanos state of elevated expectation. I was like, I gotta get home. I gotta get the same box. And the big reveal, the most beautiful women I've ever seen, and they were all from Mongolia.
They're all from South Moscow.
They were Mongolian. I mean, no one is from. Well, yeah, everything is south of Moscow, actually, because I know pretty girls were born in Moscow. And
it's a great place to end things.
It's a great place. If you want to tell me, should the book be published? I don't know. Maybe I publish it on Substack.
Send me a draft.
No one ever reads the drafts. No, because then you'll say you can't. Maybe you should read it when I publish it.
So where are you off to next?
I'm off to Tokyo.
Why?
Shit, I forgot my ring.
Why are you going to Tokyo?
I got no real great damn reason to go. It's just, it's a circuitous route back to London. It's my youngest daughter's 18th birthday on the 26th of this month.
Tokyo's on the way to London from LA. Okay.
I can pick up the shrooms. But to answer your question, last week I was in Wilmington. I was staying and spending a lot of time in the atelier of a genius friend who is he makes rock star jewelry, very much in the kind of.
Is that Hunter Biden?
In the kindred spirit of chrome hearts, and they're all of those artisanal enterprises really started off in Japan. And actually, do you know what? It ends up being, it's not a money exchange, but it's a precious metals business. And he's selling, and he gave me this beautiful ring, and I've left it on my worktop. The detail with silver, you're buying ounces of silver and gold, and he's got Chinese clients and etc. And so
the one way around capital controls.
He is, and so his name will have to remain. We don't mention, but He is celebrating 25 years in Japan. And so Rockstar Party needs some Rockstar friends. And then we're taking the bullet train to Osaka and we're doing it all again. So we're going to rock.
So you're going for 2 parties.
I'm going for two.
Yeah. Check out the yen.
The yen.
The yen.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
the yen's gone.
Go on.
We don't have time for another time, but I was trying to relate this to. So me summed up in a nutshell in terms of.
Can you put you in a nutshell?
In an attempt to put me in a nutshell as a speculator or as a provocateur, I'm the type of person, and it's a bit like Hemingway, that notion of holding 2 contrasting thoughts at the same time, and I think people don't call upon that superpower enough in financial markets, and so my Hemingway aspect or tint on dollar yen is that I can conceive of the 10-year Treasury. I can conceive of the Fed below 2% before June of next year, and I can conceive of the 10-year with a 1 handle on the yield within 3. And at the same time, I can conceive of dollar yen, the dollar appreciating through the 160 and heading to 200. And there are not many people, and rightly, that puts me in a special minority called like clueless. So in a nutshell, clueless.
All right.
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Santa Monica. Click, click, click. And again, Hannah, it was just a blessing. Maybe the next time. See, it's good to talk.